Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and Lancaster, Pennsylvania. This is the Jersey Boys Sports Talk. This is Santiago Leon. I am hubbing in for Victor Orocho. He is on assignment tonight. He might be calling in. And the other co-host is Byron Jones. The Jersey Boys Sports Talk is presented to you by the Sportscast. It is August 3rd, 2023. If you haven't yet, please subscribe in all our channels, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and Apple Podcasts. You can also listen to us on your smart speaker. By the way, Victor says if you say Alexa, play Jersey Boys. No, to say Alexa, play Sportscast. It's a all-day radio stream. So Victor Rocha's every day 8 p.m. on the radio. So if you want to hear him 8 p.m. The previous show of all week, you could listen to him there. Please, and also if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever is your preferred podcast directory, please leave a rating and review. It will help us out tremendously. We're also on online radio, and you can visit us on the sportscast.net. Also, you could hit that follow button on X, no longer Twitter, at the Sportscast1. Also, Instagram, the Sportscast1, and you can also get our app, the Sportscast for iOS. Byron Jones, how's the weather over there?
The weather is wonderful. I came back, from Williamsburg, a couple hours ago. It was nice down there. It was nice up here. We drove straight up Route 13 instead of getting on 95, like crazy people. Because the last time we got stuck in Washington, D.C. for 2 hours. So, no, we took 13, even though it had all those lights going all the way up. I'd rather deal with the lights than sitting there in traffic, because my wife always sits there and says that I'm like a shark. I can't sit still. And I'll find any back road and side street that you can imagine that I just got to keep moving.
You did this last week. You traveled on Thursday. Did you do that on purpose right before the show, or?
No, well, like the day we picked the going there was like a third. Usually we pick like a Friday or Saturday. That way it doesn't. I'm already where I need to be. But for some reason we picked the Thursday, and it was like I was like, oh Lord, I hope I make it down there in time. So yeah, we made it. It worked out.
And join us, Alex Quirk from Massachusetts. Welcome back to the Jersey Boys.
Well, before 1820, Massachusetts, from the state of Maine.
That's right, you're in Maine
again. All the way up there. But yes, I'd go from Massachusetts every now and then. I was there a couple weeks ago.
That's right.
Weather's been a little brisk. I've gotten a taste of fall. Not a fan of it, but it's what it is. It was like in the mid 50s, I think, a couple mornings when I've driven into work. But it gets warmer throughout the day around here. But feels great to be back.
Great. And we got Victor Rocho on the road to Tallahassee. He doesn't miss a show, apparently. But welcome back.
My dedication. Is Byron on?
Managed showbiz right there?
Yes, I am.
Byron, Alex Quirk is on. I'm on.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Hey, I'm sorry. I'm in the car. Are we live?
We're live. We start on time here, not at 8:15 or 8:20.
Welcome to the Jersey Boys Sports Talk. All right, good. You did all that? All right, fine. So sorry, but I'm back on the track again. Out to Orlando. We're stopping them at my dad's again. Staying the night and going. So, hey, welcome, Alex. Welcome back. Getting ready for the season. You happy the Saquon signed? I'm sorry, where you guys were at? I don't want to just
No, we haven't started, but that's a great question for Alex, because we haven't gotten his take about Saquon and Andrew Thomas.
Yeah, we had this conversation last week, Alex. I'll preface it with it. I can only stay on for a little bit because one, I'm in the car. I don't want to mess up the show. I can't figure out the background there. But one, Alex, what we talked about was because Josh Jacobs and Saquon Barkley were not. She said, "Pull in here, honey." She said that because those two weren't signed, that set the standard for the running backs, and the running back now dollars have gone down, right? In fact, Byron, I didn't even hear this. They're like the lowest paid second to tight ends. I didn't realize tight ends were even low paid, except for the big boys. But anyways, what do you think about Saquon, finally signing and getting started right away? He signed, got his money, and went right to camp. At least he wasn't part of his team.
I will say I'm happy that this drama is all over with. I'm glad he just signed. It sounded like he wanted to. I have not seen all the details of supposedly the money that was left on the table. Like there was a $22 million guaranteed contract. I'm presuming that was like a 2 or 3 year deal, but I don't know all the details. I'm just happy that he's back and he's signed, and the drama of today is over. I'm sure this will be a problem next March, but football season. We're not here to worry about next year. All we have to worry about is the fact that college football kicks off later this year. NFL kicks off in what, like 30 something days.
Yeah, well, I'm excited. I'm excited that he signed. But hey, Byron, what are your thoughts about that? Did you? I didn't realize that. Remember how you went through the average? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead, Vic.
No, someone was spinning. Okay. You know how last time you went, the average running back is paid X, and then we were seeing how low they were, and there were so many of them. The tight ends apparently don't get paid much at all either.
Yeah, not really. Even you figure the top paid ones are probably like Kittle and Kelsey, and matter of fact, Darren Waller is up there, as far as being paid. But yeah, that's another position that
is $5 million.
Yeah, 5. Yeah, but just think about this though: the kickers are paid more an average salary than the running back. I think kickers are like 2 point something million or whatever it is. And
right.
There you go.
But they said the they're only above the tight ends, the running back. I just was surprised to realize how the tight ends were paid. They got to be paid. Look, he just looked up who's $5 million. Travis Kelce?
No, he's more than 5 million.
The average for tight end was 5 million.
The average is 5 for tight ends.
And the highest paid is George Kittle.
There you go.
Well, then they must have been wrong, because the average running back was less than 2 million, wasn't it, Brian?
Yeah, it was 2. Like what the one that Santiago just showed us said 2.2 million.
Yeah, so
it does feel like the tight end's very expendable, unless you have a top guy.
Yeah, I know. I guess because maybe the average, because there's not as many tight ends as there are running backs. I mean, I'm just surprised that they were paid higher than running back.
Yeah.
Well, I guess the top 5 is Kittle 15. Also, right?
Yeah, but if
I know it's kind of a cop-out answer.
15, but what's his name from San Francisco? McCaffrey's at 16.
And I know it's a cop-out answer, but take out Kelsey. Who was the last who did the Rams have a tight end when they won the Super Bowl? Like, I feel like that's kind of a position. If you have an elite tight end, great. If not, it's not like you need a top guy for that position by, say, like the quarterback or receiver.
Don't show your age. You're a Giants fan. We win with tight ends.
Yeah, Kevin Boss and Jake Ballard, real guys who just made splash on the contract.
No, it doesn't matter. When we won the Super Bowl at Santiago, I called it when we were watching the Super Bowl. When there was a big downfield play, just one play by our tight end, it opened up everything else for us. The Giants win with the tight end being productive.
Well, we'll see with Mr. Darren Waller, who's having a great camp so far.
Give me a good Giants team that didn't have a tight end that made an impact. And Santiago, how many times have you told me we got to throw to the tight ends?
I told you all the time.
How many times have I told you? You told me.
Oh, several.
Well, don't forget when the Giants were paying Jeremy Shockey, God knows how much money, he gets injured, and then Kevin Boss, who's probably making less than $1 million, won them.
Right, but he made a big catch in the Super Bowl. He made a downfield catch.
Two different arguments. I agree with you that a top tight end versus how much we're paying a tight end is what I'm getting at.
No, I just meant I was just answering your question that tight ends didn't seem so relevant, and I was busting your chops. It's hard to say that as a true Giants fan, because we always win when a tight end makes plays. You understand? Even Boss,
I do agree with that.
Yeah, but when they had
Zeke, the other Super Bowls, Bavaro. I mean,
Mark
keep
Bavaro.
going. We had some serious tight ends.
When Zeke Moore was more of a blocking tight end that I'm looking at. Howard Cross was a blocking tight end. They really didn't make a lot of big plays. They were blocking. They ran the ball when they had Joe Marsh with those kind of tight ends. Bavaro passing. Shockey, yes.
There's no doubt.
Martellus Bennett.
Except for even in like when Boss made that long downfield play, it changes the game for us. It's
He hit
dangerous.
he couldn't help but catch it and hit him in the hands, man. It
Oh,
wasn't like
my-
he made a spectacular play. He just
I'm gonna leave it alone.
it hit him in the hands. He had to
I
catch
was just trying to get Alex's perspective. I know Byron's gonna attack me. I'm gonna leave it alone.
And to my point, Kevin Boss's salary was $459,000. That's about $15 million less than what top tier tight ends are making. That is what my point is, that you don't need to be spending that much money.
Oh, I was okay with the you're right. I'm not saying we should spend the money. I was just saying the value to me from a Giants perspective. I'm always big on wanting to have a tight end in our plan. And they have to
and
be
that's why I'm
involved.
excited about Darren Waller.
Yeah, Darren Waller.
I mean, even like you said, Ball made that was like a 40, 50-yard play. Changed the game.
threw it up in the air, man. He got lucky in quarter.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so what about Evan Ingram? How many times the ball got thrown in his hands and he dropped it?
Oh, he's getting paid.
We don't
now.
talk about him anymore. We don't talk about him
And
anymore.
he gets paid.
He's getting paid with Jacksonville, so we don't worry about that guy.
Yeah, he is in Jacksonville.
I don't know what's that.
Yeah, look at that. Ooh, look at that.
What's that?
But the Jacksonville, he got 73 receptions last year.
Yeah,
Ingram.
766 yards, 10.5
Wow.
average, 36 long, 4 touchdowns.
There's some. Hold on. Where's Victor Anthony's?
All right, so
go ahead, keep going. Santiago. Yeah.
all right, Victor's trying to find the catch up for this French fries.
Yeah. Yes, I'm trying to. Sorry, guys. Go ahead. I'm gonna get myself off. Go.
Well, there you have it, guys. Some tight ends and everything. Tonight is the Hall of Fame game, Jets versus Browns. It is a low-key game, you can say, trying to prevent injuries. No Aaron Rodgers tonight for the Jets, but a few notable players, actually, that we might see tonight. Will McDonald IV. He's an edge rusher who had 34 sacks during his time at Iowa State. Both bad. I mean, with both teams had bad seasons. So we're going to also look at for the Browns part, rookie Hedrick Tillman, and also the debut for Cleveland's quarterback Dorian Thompson Robinson, a 5th-round pick who threw for 3,000 yards and 27 touchdowns last fall while guiding the UCLA to a 9-4 record. We'll start with Byron. Your thoughts on tonight's Hall of Fame game?
Why even bother about watching it? But we're going to watch it anyway because it's football. That's all that matters. You figure the main guys, like Quentin Williams, he got paid, with the Jets. He's definitely not going to play. He's their best defensive guy. I'm pretty sure Sauce Williams, Sauce Gardner, he ain't playing. Another guy. But the one we have to look at is my rookie of the year from 2 years ago, Zach Martin. See how is he going to be able to hang on and get that, be the backup quarterback, for the Jets. He's going to maybe be behind, Aaron Rodgers. Maybe he's going to, fix his ways or something. But, I want to see that kid play because, he's talented and, I need to redeem myself, for picking him to be rookie of the year.
How about you, Alex? Your thoughts on tonight's
You need to
game?
redeem yourself for
key. Go ahead,
Sorry.
Victor. Sorry about that.
I said he should redeem himself for picking what's his name, the Jets quarterback as the rookie of the year.
Yeah, we already went through that, man.
I would say from a gambling perspective, I was astounded that the over-under was only 33, but then I remember it's an exhibition preseason game, so I didn't be surprised by that, but it's one of those, I think it's just one of those football is back moments. I'd be curious to see how much Aaron Rodgers plays in the preseason. I expected probably not tonight, but I'll be curious if he plays in the other 2 or 3 games that they have this preseason. That part I'm kind of interested in, if we will see him at all before Monday night.
Do the Jets and Giants play in the preseason game?
Not this year, no. I think they cut the Snoopy Bowl.
Oh.
Let me ask you
Play in the
questions.
regular season, though.
Yeah, they do. Santiago, what do you think? You think Aaron Rodgers should play or not?
No, he's not playing tonight. It's official. He's going to stay in the sidelines, benched up. Also, Deshaun Watson is not playing either, Byron. if you're worried
Oh my
about
God.
that.
Okay. Well, he
Oh,
needs
yeah.
he should play a little bit though. One
He,
series.
he needs to play.
He's wearing
I think
sweats
Roger
and
should play too.
a winter hat right now.
He must be cold in
It's
Canton.
about
He's in sweats and a
Where are they-
winter hat right now on the sideline.
about
Where are
90
they playing?
degrees out there.
Where are they playing at?
In Canton, Ohio, across
Ohio.
the street from the Hall of Fame museum.
Andres may be there.
Oh, I stand
Exactly.
corrected. They do. I think I have it backwards because usually the Giants and Pats also play in the preseason. So the Snoopy Bowl will take place on Saturday, August 26th, before the regular season matchup.
And they play during the season too. The Jets.
Yeah.
The Jets and Giants. Yeah.
I guess that game is just can't be missed no matter how many preseason games they cut it down to, where we're down to 3. Sounds like it'll be 2 within a couple of years.
And there'll be 0 and after that.
But
Just a Hall of Fame game and then kickoff.
But the reason for these preseason games, Byron, is to see what you got in your bench, right? To see who you cut or not, or who goes to the practice squad, right?
Yeah, but now they have they do film everything at practice. They film everything at practice. But now the only difference is from now and back then is that they scrimmage against different teams. Go play, I think the Giants and whoever Detroit or whoever they're scrimmaging. They didn't do that back then. They do it now, and they evaluate with that too. Between practice, the scrimmage, and then some people are great game players, but just you're trying to get a job, so you got to be on all the time.
All the time. And something that I realized this year is that any team can poach from the practice squad of another team, and they could sign them.
Yeah. I believe.
I didn't know that.
True.
I thought it was kind of like Jets only or something. So, well, there you have it. This weekend is.
Hey, hold on. I got a question because I signed off because I got a whole load of kids now in the car. Hey, listen, let me ask you a question. When you say poach, they can't poach you from the practice squad to practice squad. They got to poach you to sign you?
Byron?
Sign you to the active roster. Yeah.
Right. So they can't just say, "Hey, I want that guy on my practice squad." I gotta literally say, "Hey, this guy's good enough. I'm willing to sign him."
Yep.
I
think that's the rule. Yeah.
Are there concessions?
No, nothing.
Meaning like, hey, okay, I'm going to sign your practice squad guy. In return, I got to give you something, don't you? Or you can just sign him.
Exclusive.
Not like
nothing.
where you get like a supplemental
it's like
draft
free
pick
agency
in return.
It's pretty much like a player pool.
It's like when a baseball player gets DFA'd. Same thing. They're
I like that because Byron, is the practice squad always the same number, or during like preseason it's like a larger number, and then they cut it down like they do with the regular?
The preseason, you have the preseason, but then I think it's 12 or whatever the practice squad during the season or something, 12 or 7 or whatever. I don't know the number offhand, but you have the practice squad guys.
22.
It might be higher, but last time it was 12 or whatever it is. Let's see what it is.
Each team can have up to
16
players on their practice squad.
There you go.
That's a lot. Yeah, 16.
And players are eligible to be signed to the practice squad if they meet certain criteria, such as have fewer than 9 regular season games on an active roster during each of their accrued seasons.
So for preseason now, do they have more than 16 or no?
No, it's still a whole, big old, like now they're probably at 90, whatever the number is, 90, then they're going to have the cut down. But they're all part of that. That includes
16 they're going to keep on practice squad.
Yep.
Oh, interesting. So they're not really they're not really poaching practice squad. They're poaching out of your 97 roster, but like the bottom 97%, right?
Yeah.
Of the 90.
Yeah,
gentlemen,
you figure it'll go from 90 to 53 before the season starts. It'll be 53, then you'll have the 16 guys that are on the practice squad. So,
all right, well, gentlemen, you enjoy. My daughter graduates college tomorrow. Yay!
Woo, finally.
Get a job. I'm excited.
No more college tuition payments.
Yeah. I wish. God bless, guys. Talk to you soon. Jersey Boy Sports Talk. Next Thursday, hopefully. I don't even know if I'll be there. Another thing going on. But thank you, Santiago. Thank you, Alex and Byron, as always.
Enjoy your trip.
Enjoy. Be safe. Don't be speeding.
No, we got a long ride. All right. Bye.
See ya. Well, there you have it. Let's continue on with the Hall of Fame. Who's getting inducted today? I mean, this weekend. It'll be Rondé Barber, who used to be a cornerback, safety. Don Correll, used to be a coach. Chuck Howley, linebacker. Joe Klecko, defensive lineman. Darrelle Revis Island, cornerback, ex-Jets. Ken Riley, cornerback. Joe Thomas, offensive tackle. Zach Thomas, linebacker. DeMarcus Ware, linebacker, defensive end. Alex, who do you like here? Which of these players brings you great memories?
Well, not many of them because I'm only 30, but I would say Rondé Barber and Darrelle Revis come to mind. I remember Thomas and, well, I say both Thomases, is Zach and Joe Thomas and DeMarcus Ware. I'm glad to see, by the way, if I'm not mistaken, Chuck Howley, the only MVP of a losing team
Yep.
to ever. I'm glad he's getting his recognition, even if it's like, I don't know how it works in the NFL by comparison, the MLB Hall of Fame. But no, a lot of great guys there. Obviously, Rondé Barber, the twin brother of longtime Giant Tiki Barber. And Darrelle Revis was, I think, an all-time corner from my growing up, like my teenage and early 20s of watching football. I'd say Darrelle Revis is kind of the one to highlight, even more than Rondé, playing at the same position.
Revis and Thomas are the first ballot Hall of Famers in this class.
Oh, wow.
Comparatively, Howley waited the longest out of anyone in the 2023 class, as this was his 45th year of eligibility.
Holy
my head's ready to explode with that one.
Tell us a little bit more about that, Mr. Jones.
Like Alex said that he was the MVP on a losing team when Dallas lost. I think it was Miami. They lost Baltimore.
Baltimore, yeah.
16-13 by field goal. Jim O'Brien. That's how old I am. This poor guy waited 45 years. I think he's like 87 years old now.
Wow.
And he he's going through medical issues or whatever. He really it just with age. And, it's a shame, and this is my only gripe, it's a shame that these great players, they were great when he left the game, 45 years ago. So why would it take them 45 years, to get this guy in instead of putting this other guy in because of social media and on TV and all this other stuff, and just kept pushing him back and pushing him back. Same thing with, Joe Klecko. Joe Klecko was all pro in 3 different positions, and it took him about 30 years, to get in. Ken Riley should have been in decades ago, but I'm happy they finally got in. But it's a shame that it takes them at least where they're young enough where they can enjoy the fact that they're going in and the people are showering them with love and all kinds of stuff. Not where they're the guys on the deathbed or whatever. That's not right. That's the only thing that bothers me with the NFL. The Hall of Fame. I understand that it's the elite of the elite, the best of the best getting in there. But for a guy that was on the team, losing team, that wasn't right. 45 years. That's a long time, man, to wait.
Well, and that was my take. Was this like a veterans committee or something, or is it just?
Yeah, they have the seniors committee. That's where seniors I think they have the seniors committee and the newspaper guys and however else they do it. Even like Don Coryell, the things that he did as far as with offenses, with Dan Fouts and John Jefferson and all the great receivers, go deep. He changed the game, too, and it took it 36 years or whatever it took for him, to be inducted. Yeah, it's not right. That's the only thing about he's been gone for a while now. Ken Riley, I think his family, I think his son or somebody's gonna speak up for him. But it's just I'm happy for all these guys, but it's just waiting 1,000 years to get in. Like Lester Hayes is one that should be in. Corner for Oakland. He's been waiting a long time, and there's a bunch of other ones too. They've been waiting a long time. It just seems that they just keep, when the new group comes in, whoever's, the hot one at the moment, these other guys sort of get pushed, to the side, and then put this guy. Oh yeah, we'll get to him. And it is what it is, I guess.
Who else is not, who else has not made it to the Hall of Fame, Byron, that should be there? A couple guys that or.
Jim Marshall for Minnesota Vikings. Why
Really?
is he? Yeah, why is he not in the Hall? He played all 200 something games, whatever he played in, and he made the one mistake where he
I
ran
was gonna
away.
say, is that what's holding him back? Is that one play from like 50 years ago?
Where he ran the wrong way, scored a safety for the other thing. I don't know, but he was a great player too. Why isn't he in the Hall of Fame? And he's been retired probably just as long as these other guys.
He's 85.
Yeah, and he's still here. Let this guy put him in, where he can enjoy, where he can go, to the parade, get a jacket and walk around in the stadium and all this other stuff. And it's just not right that he's not in the Hall of Fame.
And the Hall of Fame is a massive because you get the jacket and you get like a sculpt of your face or something, not like your whole body.
The bust, the bust. I think they get a ring, as well. And then you get to go, and do signings all over the country and make money. A lot of these guys that are older, they didn't make the kind of money these guys are making now. And maybe $1,000 for signing, or what, 500 or whatever. That money would go a long way with these guys. I'm not saying just for that reason, but they should be in the Hall of Fame. And I think who's the other guy that's up for next year is Steve McMichael. Remember Mongo for the Chicago Bears?
Wow. I don't think Alex and I know those guys.
Yeah,
I know him by name, not because of him playing. Wasn't he in Blazing Saddles?
No, that was Alex Karras.
Oh, okay. I was like, wrong Mongo. Okay.
They called him Mongo, because of that movie, but also because he wrestled. He was in the WWE or whatever the wrestling thing. He did that as well, after he finished playing football. But he's on, and he has, was it ALS? I think. With him, he's
sounds about right.
He's bad off, this guy. But I don't know, like this year, when he just pulled it, like Ken Anderson, he should have been in a long time ago. Roger Craig should have been a long time ago. Randy
Marshall, you mentioned,
Randy Gradishar should have been there.
I've heard great things about Sterling Sharp. Shout out South Carolina, by the way, but I've heard great things about him.
Yeah, and he hurt his neck. He had probably the greatest, like the 4 years of receiver as probably as any play, and he's not, because he just didn't have that long. I think he only played 7 years, like that long body of work.
It's like 88 to 94. I think.
It wasn't long at all. And then you got I'm gonna show my age again. Tommy Novus for the Atlanta Falcons. He was on a bad, awful team for his whole career, but the guy was a star. He went out there and did it. I think he was All-American, University of Texas. And another great player that should have been in the 40, 50, they played in 1,000 years, and they're still pushing. You know what? Let's let these other guys get it. Let's keep pushing it back.
They'll get in eventually. One of those. They'll get on. There's no way we can't get him into the Hall.
Yeah, I understand. Like, it's supposed to be, like I said before, it's for the elite. It's supposed to be something special, not where hey, this guy was great for the media. Let's put him in,
or whatever they call it.
The Hall of Very, very good.
Yeah, go ahead, Byron.
Yeah, and it's just a shame that and I keep saying it, that it takes these guys, man, forever, man, for these guys to get in that should have been in decades ago.
How soon do you think Tom Brady will get inducted?
First ballot.
Like a couple years?
If there's a pre-first ballot, he would get on that.
Yes.
If they could do it faster than first ballot, Tom Brady would be in the Hall of Fame. But they're gonna wait till, I don't know what the rules are in terms of how long you have to wait.
5 years.
5 years, okay.
5 years, so probably in 27.
And this is gonna be a shocker here with this one. I don't think Eli Manning is gonna get on first ballot.
We talked about this a couple months ago.
I don't think he's the first ballot. I would agree with that. I feel like at some point he will get in, but not on the first try.
No. And that's because the New York, being the New York area and the last name Manning.
Yeah, that's something we talked about with the Victor's coming back in Hall of Fame. For next year, there is 16 semi-finalists. Marty Schottenheimer is in that list for next year.
I don't know if he deserves to be a Hall of Fame. He's a name, but what did he accomplish other than coaching nearly 20 years?
I think they cut this down to 12, like last week.
Oh, he did. Okay, well,
if
let
you
me
can find it,
help.
see if you can find it.
Finalist.
I mean, I did see a few, and one I think that will eventually get in. I don't know if he'll be this year. Art Modell feels controversial, but I feel like he's going to get in eventually. All right, there, the 24.
Yeah, 24. There you
24.
go.
Let's see. Max Boggin is in for the little preview.
Ken Anderson was kind of like that first name there from the clip.
Ken Anderson, Max Boggin, Roger Craig, Randy Grashar, Joe Jacoby, Albert Lewis, Steve McMichael, Eddie Meter, Art Powell, Sterling Sharp. I think I just brought him up, and Otis Taylor and Al Wistert. Your thoughts on this? And also Tom Coughlin, Giants.
Yeah.
Hey. My boy.
Mike Holmgren, Frank Kilroy, Robert Kraft. Oh, Robert Kraft, Patriots. Parker, Dan Reeves, Art Rooney Jr., Marty Schottenheimer made it. Mike Shanahan, Clark Shaughnessy, Lloyd Wells, John Wooten. So I guess out of all of these, they'll select like 10 or 9,
12 maybe
max.
It looks like 12 and 12.
Yeah, it's not
12 for the seniors, and then that other one you were showing. There's 12 on that list.
Okay, I'm ready to blow things up now. Why is it? Maybe somebody can answer that. They want to put the owners of the, some of these owners are kind of like, I always thought that you put somebody in because of contribution to the game, not because they won 6 Super Bowls and Robert Kraft, but somebody that did something for the game, like like the Rooneys, the owner from Chicago Bears, Al Davis, people that did something for the game, not because we won 6 Super Bowls.
I think Robert Kraft is an exceptional owner, not just because he's like kind of in that upper echelon, not just, I mean, like winning, but like he's in the inner circle with the Rooneys and the Maras in terms of like the top owners. I think
that hurt, man. That hurt you saying it with the Maras, man. Oh, I'm hurt.
Well, listen, I mean, the Maras are like, from my understanding, they're kind of like one of those very influential owners, or at least were in the inner circle of at least Goodell, if not the NFL ownership group. I think Kraft's an exceptional owner. And I'm not just saying that because we look at like what we've seen with Dan Snyder and other owners, that I think he's exceptional. He seems like overall he's a decent human being. He's, after the whole whatever happened in the 90s with the Patriots, he built Gillette and Foxborough into this massive plaza, which almost kind of many ways set up what we see with many stadiums, where there's like not just the stadium, but all the shopping plazas. I think Kraft's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, but what has he done to change the game? That's a Hall of Famer to me. What have you done?
Belichick.
Victor
that's
says,
more like a personnel choice than necessarily like contributions to the game. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Victor says the Hall of Fame isn't it all about the numbers?
I mean, how can Joe Thomas be measured on numbers? He's an offensive lineman.
And they suck. The whole while he played with the Cleveland Browns were awful. Yeah, but okay, he's Victor's saying about numbers. Okay, now you have like Drew Pearson probably had about 500 catches, during his career. Lynn Swan probably was like 500, and now you got guys that are getting 800 and 900, catches during the course. So are you going by the volume of catches, or the fact that what these guys did, like Lynn Swan won 3 or 4 Super Bowls, Drew Pearson won, 2. And if you just did with numbers, then you have like Larry Fitzgerald, is going to be a first ballot Hall of Fame, but, because the numbers.
I feel like the only Hall of Fame that is strictly a numbers one is baseball, because baseball is that black and white in terms of you can measure like, okay, a guy hitting this, or a pitcher winning this many games, you can determine who's a Hall of Famer or not. Football's a little more of a gray area, in my opinion.
Victor says numbers first, then championships.
I mean, it's like by that, I could see that Drew Brees necessarily didn't win a lot, but he like has all the records for passing. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame.
And he won what? Yeah, he won 1 Super Bowl.
1 Super Bowl.
1.
Just 1.
Just
Oh, or you have another guy that's probably going to never ever get in there, Jim Plunkett. He won 2 Super Bowls. But then when you look at his numbers, there's like, yeah, they weren't very
But
good.
then again, Joe Namath makes the bar. See, then that's where the numbers argument makes no sense. Joe Namath is a Hall of Famer because of one game.
Yeah.
I know.
But-
I carry that on from my dad of like, I cannot believe that, but still, Joe
But
Namath threw more interceptions than touchdowns.
But
He's
the
in
reason
Hall of Fame.
the reason why is that he changed the game because of with the merger with the AFL and NFL when they merged and that they factored they didn't think the Jets were going to beat the Baltimore Case and he by them doing the biggest upset in the history of whatever that
Which is a fair
that's
point.
why.
Yeah. Kind of like changing the game, as you say, more so like you're right. It's not numbers, unless of course someone's like an all-time passing leader. It's like, what did they do to contribute to the game?
Like who's another one? Big numbers. Warren Moon.
Dan Marino.
Yeah, Dan Marino. Warren Moon. Even more bigger numbers.
No championships.
None. It was close.
And maybe Marino's argument is he was kind of, I mean, I can't speak to what the game was like. It seemed like it was more balanced, but that was as the game was starting to shift towards more on the quarterback, because we had Marino, Montana, Elway. Those are like the 3 headliners that come to mind in terms of the 80s. But that's where he was part of the shift of the game from more kind of ground and pound or just tough football to air raid West Coast style that we saw throughout the 80s. And Marino was exceptional in that time.
Yes, he was. He put up 4,000 yards like it was nothing constantly.
Marino won a lot of AFC titles.
But
At least 2, if I'm not mistaken. I think the Dolphins won twice.
and what did he do? He went to the Super Bowl. It was his first year, and never went back.
True.
And he played what 18 years or whatever he played.
He played to like 99, I
15.
think.
Yeah, he won one time.
I don't think he won 99. No, I think just one time. Byron, you're right.
Oh, okay,
17
correct.
seasons.
Oh, all right, he played 17 seasons. Wow, he went to the Super Bowl once in 17 years.
And that was like in his first year
First
or
couple
so.
years,
So
yeah.
83, 84, and he played another 15 years, never, I mean, probably getting a whiff of the playoffs, but never making it back to the big dance.
Not even close.
That's how bad the organization is. Victor loves to talk about.
Didn't he say? But
no.
wasn't Don Shula there? Don Shula was the head coach then, right?
The whole and
But that was
except the last 2 seasons, Jimmy
But
Johnson.
one
came.
could argue that was, I mean, maybe he was in the middle of the Shula era, but then that was as we saw with Tom Landry, kind of maybe overstaying his welcome.
Yeah, a little bit. yeah. He was another one got, they did him dirty, man, the way they fired him. Man. They should let him retire and, just ride off into the sunset down in Dallas. But Jimmy Johnson came in and I want, Jimmy Johnson, but Jerry Jones came in and I want my guy. I want my guy. And that's exactly what they did.
Looking at the Giants who are in the Hall of Fame, there's a lot of them. Fran
Kurt
Tarkenton.
Warner one is such a cop out. I know it's like when Andre Dawson went in and the Red Sox were claiming him. It's like, okay, Andre Dawson played 1 year for the Red Sox. We can't necessarily claim him as,
I don't remember him for the Giants.
He was
It was 2004.
Yeah, when Eli took over.
Yeah, he played the first 10 or so weeks in 2004, and then Eli came in. That was the Kurt Warner year.
They were 5-4. And then we're gonna go with the young kid. And out he went. And then I think they lost every game after that or whatever they did. Yeah.
The mid 2000s weren't a great time.
Yeah, it wasn't pretty.
Victor says, remember the AFC put up a lot of numbers, but the NFC dominated during Marino's time.
I mean, not wrong. I mean, the 49ers ran the 80s. You had the Bears. You had the Giants.
Washington Redskins.
The
Cowboys. The NFC West.
Point.
Well, there you have it. And let's see, a little bit more of a Giants in the Hall of Fame. We got Jumbo Elliott, Frank Cope.
Bednarik. I didn't know he was a Giant.
Who?
Yeah.
I just know him as the guy who they hand out the linebacker award for in college. That from playing the video games all these years. That's the only reason I remember that name.
I played with Lomas Brown. I played with him in the Senior Bowl.
Oh, speaking of Jim
Cool.
Thorpe, apparently another one, the Thorpe Award for cornerback. It's I guess the Giants had a couple of them back in the day.
Yeah, they've had Vincent Lombardi. Look at all those great players. Jimmy Patton. And I'm not that
Gary
old where I
Carson.
remember all those guys. I'm old. I ain't that old.
Well, yeah, like as you can see, Tom Landry he may have been a player for them in addition to I think he was the D coordinator for the Giants in the 50s.
Like toward the end, the player coach. Yeah.
We got Bill Parcells, of course, Tim Mara, Steve
Frank
Owen,
Gifford.
Larry Shonka, who also played for the Dolphins, played for the Giants.
Yeah, for like 2 seasons and fumbled on the fumble that the Eagles when the Eagles picked it up and ran it in for a touchdown. That was him.
Wait, the original Miracle at Meadowlands, that was Larry Zonka?
Yeah, I think that was him. They were trying to get the ball to, and then Herm Edwards picked the ball up, ran it in, won the game.
Well, there you have it. Hall of Fame. Very important. Is it as big as the Super Bowl? Is that something that a player wants to be in?
Players want to get paid.
True.
I feel like you can coast more off winning a Super Bowl and getting into the Ring of Honor of said team than necessarily making it into the Hall of Fame. To me, the only true Hall of Fame I think that's the most prestigious, the baseball one. The other ones are just kind of, it's a nice recognition, but it's not make or break for your career. That's my take on it.
That's true.
What is it? The NFL has been around, 100 years or whatever number it is. And I think maybe they got, 400, maybe like 450 guys in the Hall of Fame, 450, 500 maybe at the most.
Something like that.
Victor's trolling. Of course, it's bigger than the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
This is such a trolling statement. Well, there you have it. This
71.
weekend, I'm looking forward to Zach Thomas. That's gonna be. I mean, he's kind of an underrated player. Feels like, but wasn't.
Yeah. Well, I think because wasn't he on the same team with like Jason Taylor, who I think was more of the exceptional player on that Dolphins defense of the 2000s.
I would say so. Yeah, absolutely.
Was Surtain on that team? The father of the kid?
Good question.
Surtain or Sam Madison, I think, was a corner on that team.
Madison, yes, I do remember him.
About Madison. That's right. Sam.
Dolphins had good teams.
They just never could get to the Super Bowl.
I know.
Well, listen, they had the Tom Brady tax during that time period. That a lot of teams had that issue in the 2000s.
Patrick Surtain, 47 years old, from New Orleans. I'm looking up right now. See if he played for the Dolphins during the late 90s, right? He did from 98 to 2004.
There you go.
So,
well, I'm going to kick your guy, Zach Thomas, right now. Next year they have, I'm going to go back to that real quick. Randy Gradishar should have been in before Zach Thomas, and he's been waiting longer. That's all I got to say about that. That's for John Rottenberg.
He played for the Chiefs too, Byron.
Yeah,
for 3 seasons. Oh wow, he's definitely a local because he went to this high. No, sorry, he's a coach. I think he grew up in New Orleans. So
now he's a coach at Florida State, defensive back.
Defensive back, yeah, just recent. So.
And look at his son, one of the top 5 corners in all of football.
Interesting. Usually,
Surtain, he's out in Denver, right? The kid.
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah, this is interesting. I love this stuff. There's so much players in football compared to basketball. It's a plethora. Anyways, Hall of Fame. Pretty excited about that. There was some news today on the NFL that came out. They modified the personal conduct policy. It granted itself, the NFL, the authority to investigate and impose disciplinary actions on incoming draft prospects for incidents that may have occurred before they officially joined the league. This change comes in the wake of several high-profile incidents, including players such as Joe Mixon and the more recent case, Jalen Carter, prompting the NFL to take a proactive stance in shaping player behavior.
Okay, we're talking about domestic violence. I was thinking the gambling that is like rocked Iowa right now, but okay, domestic violence is what we're getting at. Yeah,
that was a big issue with Jalen Carter, got arrested. Kind of didn't ruin his draft value, right, Byron?
Well, I'll put it this way: he should have been like a top 3, and he did drop, to the Eagles, like a 9 or whatever. He got picked. But yeah, he should have been one of the first three players taken off the during the draft. But he made a bad choice, man. I don't know what these kids be thinking of. They had it was an accident. Okay, I understand that. I dealt with it. I understand it's an accident. Okay, but then to turn around and lie, that you weren't there or whatever happened, and knowing that it's traffic cameras all the way down the highway, they can track you with or your phone or your card, all kind of stuff. They got you. So why would you? Oh, I wasn't me. You know how many times I heard that? Oh, it wasn't me. Dude, I was looking right at you.
Your thoughts,
The other
Alex?
one that comes to mind, I forget his name. He was like a Georgia defensive lineman who was
Tunsil?
involved in very unfortunate. No, not Tunsil. That was he was like I think Ole Miss or something. Who had the video of him smoking marijuana that came
Tunsil.
with him out of the draft?
Yeah,
Tunsil.
with the mask on?
Yeah, Tunsil.
Yeah, that was
No, I
Tunsil.
forget the guy's name. He was a Georgia defensive lineman who was like sometime in January after they won the national championship. He was involved in a very tragic. I think 2 people died in a car accident.
Carter.
Jalen Carter.
Yeah.
I think that might be another one of those kind of like guys who might fall under this instance of the new personal conduct rule of where Georgia's not going to discipline him because he's gone from the team, but he's not necessarily exempt from any punishment, let alone whatever legal trouble he will face. Not necessarily criminal, but civil.
Yeah, but how? Okay, they're coming into the draft, so technically, they're still in school. Some of them, or they've left school to train or whatever, and get in whatever trouble. So how are you going to discipline somebody that's really not employed by you yet? Whatever you did is over here, and then the job is over here. So how are you going to discipline a person that's not employed by anybody? He's not employed by the NFL. He's employed by whatever team that picks him. So how
He's
are
on like a little of a waiting room, kind of like a buffer.
Yeah, but that's if somebody goes to court with that, I don't think that was going to fly because they're just
That is interesting. Yeah,
they're not employed by anybody. You get drafted.
The NFL starts writing
They're
their
free
checks
agent.
the second they declare for the draft. That's
But you haven't signed a contract.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That
Yeah.
like the second they say I declare for the NFL draft, it's not like the bank account starts rolling
No.
there. It's like you have to wait to get picked and then you get the signing bonus. That's a good point. That you're just sort of in limbo. You're not being paid by, let's use Jalen Carter. You're not being paid by Georgia legally, or the NFL isn't writing your checks either. You're just a student athlete.
Right. So how are they gonna? How can you enforce that? If you did something over here, I'm not employed by anybody, but you're gonna discipline me even though I'm not your employee yet.
No, and Victor's point in the chat, are you saying that's like a CBA negotiation tactic you're getting at, or?
Good argument.
I don't. It's just weird. But I don't think it's gonna fly. They can put whatever they want, but I'm just saying if somebody tries to, it happens to somebody that's coming out from college and they get the right lawyer or whatever, they might be able to beat that. It's just.
Another one I think of is Jameis Winston and everything that went on at Florida State with him. But granted, he was a top pick, so I don't know if the NFL would have just sort of swept that one under the rug because he would have been a high pick.
All these teams have security. Every last one of them has a guy that's a retired FBI, Secret Service, state trooper, or whatever they may be. So they invested. If you get ready, to pay these guys millions of dollars, you don't think that they investigate everything about? They know everything about this kid, everything about this kid. So some of it you can overlook, some of it you can't.
I would love to see the Micah Parsons file, to be quite honest, because there was a lot of smoke when he was coming out, and I was concerned that the Giants are going to take him. I'm glad Dallas took him just because they didn't need that headache. But I'd be curious what his file had.
Yeah.
Alleged. I'm throwing legends out there.
Just remember, alleged, that key word.
So Victor says you're allowed not to hire someone based on background. They are hiring with a penalty.
That you're allowed to hire?
I don't know.
You're allowed to not. You're allowed
to hire someone based on
based on the background if you're hiring with a penalty.
Interesting.
So
it's
is
a
that
job interview,
authority,
Byron.
like the player will argue, I should have gone higher had it not been for these allegations against me, and the NFL would use this as like a shield, pun intended, to justify, well, you fell because of this allegation that we determined was against the personal conduct policy or
Yeah,
what.
but they're never going to admit that. If somebody does something that crazy, prior to them getting there, they just won't pick them. That way, they'll get that little secret room. Hey, make sure you don't pick this guy, and he'll just go through the whole draft and not get picked. It had Vontez Burfict, the kid from Arizona State. Vontez Burfict is his name. The linebacker that used to blow up everybody. Him. He should have been a top pick, but he had all kind of craziness going on down there at Arizona State, and he sort of went right through the draft and was undrafted.
Interesting. We're in the last 10 minutes of the show. Alex, I'm not sure if you've been following the Women's World Cup, but have you been following it this past couple of weeks?
I've been loosely following. I mean, I will state that I am cheering for the U.S. women's national team. It has been a disappointment, but also it's hilarious based on the marketing that they've been advertising the U.S. versus the world and the fact they only won a game, which I don't hold that against them against Vietnam. Vietnam was dropping 10 back. They weren't trying to play other than just not let the U.S. score, but certainly 2 draws aren't exactly ideal, nor a 5 a.m. kickoff. I know they're playing in Australia, New Zealand. It's nothing they can do, but a 5 a.m. on a Sunday morning kickoff is not exactly ideal.
Yeah, exactly. These games are usually in the middle of the night, 3 a.m., 6 a.m. at times. This Sunday, the round of 16 of the World Cup, Women's World Cup, will be USA versus Sweden. Sweden, we've had mixed results with them. They beat us, I think, half the time, and we beat them also half the time as well. So it's kind of it's a true test for us this weekend.
From my understanding, their last loss in group stage, which was in 2011, because they would show that stat when they were not winning by much, was against Sweden in 2011. So I feel like they're going to get through this round. I'd like to think that they're getting enough flack from former players, even those who are in Fox, like Carly Lloyd, who knows how many of these women she played alongside them, has been giving them a lot of grief. I'd like to think that would light a fire underneath them. I just don't see them winning this year. I
agree.
love to see them win, but
they
got a tough road, or either that or they've just been, all right, we're sleepwalking through the group stage and now it's the knockout, so let's take this serious. We'll see.
We'll see Sunday morning, 5 a.m., and see if the U.S. can go into the next round. Hopefully, I'm able to see it. I'll be out of town this weekend. Speaking about
our soccer bar is opening up at 4:45 a.m. for this, and I may try to make it down. I'm an insane person, but it's a once in a lifetime thing to try to do. So
you got to do it. Yeah, you never know when's the next time. Speaking about soccer meets NFL, let's watch this clip from Tom Brady.
So here's the deal. I'm officially coming on board at Birmingham City Football Club. And maybe you're asking, what do you know about English football, Tom? Well, let's just say I got a lot to learn. But I do know a few things about winning, and I think they might translate pretty well. I know success starts with the work put in when the world isn't watching. I know that a team is nothing without the city that shows up and stands behind them. Most importantly, I know I like being the underdog. The road's been long for Birmingham, but these fans have never stopped believing. We got a song that says, no matter what, you keep right on to the end of the road. And I'll be on that road with you. I'll see you at St. Andrews soon. It's time to get to work. Let's go. So here's the
amazing commercial.
Yeah,
great intro.
Cool.
I saw the clip about 2 hours, or not the clip. I saw like the headline that I had not seen before. That's interesting. I mean, I know it's only a minority stake. I'm curious what that percentage is, but I'm wondering if
I will look that up for sure. But
and is trying
this has that Wrexham feel, which is a smaller club in England, Byron, that's owned by Ryan Reynolds, and actually really got promoted to the next upper level league. And but Tom Brady, like, I could see this a big Halloween, maybe more than JJ Watt with Burnley. But Alex, I think Birmingham City has a good minority stake owner behind them.
I would say so. And certainly I think I'm glad there's a bit of, I'm not going to use the word transparency, but a bit of honesty, because I was like looking, I'm like, I haven't seen them in the Premier League. They're apparently on the verge of getting demoted from like the second tier English league. So kind of one of those, yeah, I could see where Brady's coming at the whole underdog angle of buying a team that's in like the AAA of English soccer.
Yeah. His investment comes weeks after the American hedge fund billionaire Tom Wagner was appointed Birmingham's chairman of the board, the first steps in his takeover at the club. Also, Brady owns a minority stake of the Las Vegas Raiders. So
I was trying to remember if you had the Raiders. I know it because they made a big deal about him becoming an owner of the Aces, the Vegas WNBA team, as well. Okay, so yeah,
He got money like that.
Apparently, does. And he lost money from the FTX crypto company.
Wow, must be nice, man. Good man. Geez.
We're guessing that when Giselle was being the breadwinner of that family, he was putting a lot away in his savings account there.
There you go.
Yeah.
Giselle did make more money than Tom.
Yes, she did. A lot more.
So nothing. Good job, Tom Brady. Looking forward to it. We'll see how Birmingham City does. Before we go, big skirmish between Sean Payton, coach of the Denver Broncos, and now the new offensive coordinator, Nathaniel Hackett. Sean Payton said something about one of the worst coaching jobs in history in the NFL. This happened this past week. Byron, your thoughts on that? That goes against coaching code, they say.
Yeah, it does. But still, maybe whoever was interviewing him, maybe he was thinking, like we were talking before, that he had the analyst hat on and figured that he could say whatever he want, and then or maybe something. Well, you know what? This is off the record, but this it could be that situation too, where he said what he said it, but he really didn't mean for him to write it.
Alex, your thoughts on that?
I mean, if I'm not saying that, like, as I agree with what Byron's saying, that like one of those, he kind of forgets that he's a coach and he's maybe been out of too long to remember the code. But if Nathaniel Hackett has no level of self-reflection of how bad of a job he did, he really needs to stop remembering that he's only remembered as a guy who has association with Aaron Rodgers, and that's the only reason he has a job right now. Because he had a terrible head coaching. He couldn't even make it a year.
Yeah. I mean Sean Payton's not totally wrong about that statement. But
yeah, that's what I said. Take it with a grain of salt. If you're Nathaniel Hackett, he's probably got another 20, 30 years as a coach. Sean Payton probably has 10 to 15. Just, it's not great to be told that your job as a head coach wasn't great last year, but
so basically he said, man, you suck, man. You suck. That's it.
But there's some offensive coordinators that are not meant to be head coaches.
Agreed.
Yeah,
and Josh McDaniels might be in that pool.
Yeah.
Listen, Spagnuolo is a great coordinator. I don't know if they want him as my head coach.
No. He was awful too.
Here, tying it back into the Giants here.
I love it. And then Aaron Rodgers responded a day after. He said that was out of line and inappropriate. And then, of course, Hackett had also a statement about that. And he said, yeah, it goes against coaching code. You should be talking about that. But
yeah, Hackett and Rodgers, they're like bound together. That's why Aaron Rodgers, I don't remember if Hackett came before Rodgers was traded, but those two were tied together.
Yeah. You guys' predictions for the Jets this season? They're up 6-0 against Cleveland. Doesn't mean anything, but how well the Jets will do this season? How many wins, maybe?
That's a tough division.
Very. It's getting tighter. And you can't count out the Patriots completely.
I will, as a New Englander, I will count them out until I see the improvement on the field from them. I mean, I probably see them as like a 6-7 win team on paper. Like, I think they'll have a solid defense. It's just, we don't know what we're going to get from Aaron Rodgers. He just needed to get out of Green Bay and he's going to light the world on fire, or he's going to be a 30, 40-something-year-old quarterback who's just well past his prime.
Showing his age. Mr. Jones, how do you think the Jets will do this season?
I'm going to stick to what I said before. The Jets are going to win the AFC East.
That could happen.
I'm sticking with it.
That could happen. I can't argue against that. I mean, it's kind of open. I don't think the Bills have this in the bag either.
I also keep forgetting Miami probably will see some regression. I keep thinking Miami's still that number 2 team, but they kind of showed cracks at the end of the year, and we don't know what Tua is going to be like in this upcoming season. So I still think the Bills are the front runner for that division, but you're right. It's maybe not as concrete as it was a year ago.
Yeah. Looking forward to what happened with the Jets. Probably one of the biggest quarterback pickups, even though towards the end of the season. There's one player that said that the head coach of the Jets said that he definitely will see Aaron Rodgers play next season. So he's even predicting it from now.
Well, he signed that 2-year contract.
True.
75 million or whatever it was.
Yeah. What was that?
Wait, are we talking about the coach or a player?
The player.
The coach. Yeah, Coach Hala. He brought up that he expects Aaron Rodgers to play for two seasons for the Jets.
Yeah, 2 for 75 million. I would
so
too.
He was implying that he looks good on the field. That's what he was implying. So at least on the practice field.
He will be in a uniform.
It's different. It's different when the bullets start flying around you. So we'll see.
How much of a difference do you think this have the same feel when Brady went to the Bucs, or is this completely different?
No,
way different.
No, it's way different. The Bucs were loaded. All they needed was a quarterback.
Well, I don't want to pull that card, but it's Tom Brady, proven winner. Aaron Rodgers won a Super Bowl 13 years ago and has had how many opportunities to make it to the dance? How many of that was Mike McCarthy versus him? We'll maybe never know. But I think that's kind of the difference of Brady felt like he kind of had something and the Patriots are ready to move on. Rodgers seems like he's just been discontent for like 5 years with the Packers, and this was inevitable.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, New York Jets back on the map. Preseason starts next week. Giants play Detroit. What do you guys want to see the Giants this preseason? Any particular players or maybe how they run things? You guys have any specific goals for this preseason, or it doesn't really matter?
Yeah, I want to see the receiver Jalen Hyatt. They said he's been lighting it up. Waller. I want to see Evan Neal play a lot better than he did last year. A lot better. They've been talking about Trey Hawkins, the 6th-round pick corner, is a little bit ahead of the 1st-round pick, Deonte Banks. So we'll see how that works out. Are they going to have to play the 1st-rounder because he was a 1st-rounder, or are they going to put the 6th-round kid in because he's doing that much better than him right now? But I want to see the offense if they're going to open it up.
Rookies do play the preseason majority-wise, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Alex,
I would agree. Seeing the preseason, seeing how the offense is going to fare, especially with the receiving room, which I think has a lot of questions in terms of I'm not saying they're going to play the number ones for a lot of time, but just to see what there is out there for depth. We know what Saquon's capable of. We know what Daniel Jones can do, but in terms of his weapons, we don't necessarily know. I think that's the biggest question mark for the Giants on offense is who is Daniel Jones going to throw the ball to?
That's a big question.
And who's going to block?
Yeah. Andrew Thomas got paid. That man got the bag in the last week or so.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. A lot of optimism in the Giants camp. A lot of good things going on with the GM for the Giants. I think he's doing a great, fantastic job. Doug Shane, right? That's his name.
Joe Shane. Yep.
Joe Shane. So definitely a big boost there. And of course, the head coach, the Dabble, he's doing fantastic so far. So any closing words before we head off into contacts? Alex.
Football is back.
Byron.
Football's back.
Yeah, it does feel it, especially tonight. I'm seeing the Hall of Fame. It's really, really low scoring. Alex, what is the best way to reach you online to talk to you about the Giants preseason?
Formerly on Twitter, now X at @Quirko.
@Quirko, exactly. He also follows some soccer as well. Nothing going on, just the Women's World Cup, Premier League starting in a week from now. Byron, I know you don't know much on X or Twitter or Facebook. Well, you are on Facebook.
Facebook, yeah. Twitter.
How can they reach you online?
Facebook.
There you go. And college football, Byron. Any expectations there?
University of Tulsa? No.
South Carolina maybe threatening that second or third spot in the SEC East. That's what our expectations are. I mean, we're not going to beat Georgia, but to compete.
Do you
That's the
think?
expectations.
Do you think the Pac-12 will be obsolete soon?
Absolutely. That is a terrible TV deal that they have on the table. I know it's one of my only things that I kind of go more old man boomer take on, but like just Apple TV is not, it may be in the future, but that is a terrible contract given even what the Big 12 got for, I think, Fox and ESPN.
Yeah. A lot of changes going on there. A lot of teams, Colorado moving to the Big 12, potentially Oregon might go to the Big 10. So Big 10 will definitely be expanded and SEC is being expanded. So a lot of changes going on in college football. Probably new face in a few years. We'll probably see the Power 4, Power 2, 3. We'll see.
It's going to be a Power 2 in the Big 12 if they're lucky. We'll get an invite. But, I mean, it sounds like also FSU is looking to get out of ACC because they're in dire economic whatevers, and that ACC TV deal's looking worse by the day. But, yeah, it's pretty much the SEC and the Big 10. The Big 12's kind of catching up, but we'll see without Texas and Oklahoma.
We'll see pattern. Byron Jones is pretty optimistic for the Big 12. Anyways, you can reach us at the Sportscast1 on Twitter, sportscast.net. Also, X, Sportscast1 on Instagram. Victor Rocho, you can reach him on Twitter at Rocho. He doesn't tweet much, I think, lately, but we'll see what happens. Preseason begins, I will say, tonight. It continues next week. Of course, we got Women's World Cup, Premier League coming up, and, of course, college football. Guys, it's been an honor. Maybe I'll see you next week. We'll see what Victor's schedule is like, but thanks for coming on to the Jersey Boys Sports Talk.